In this video, let's look at creating a new Revit project, and we're going to base that new project on a template. So to get to the new project dialog, here on my home screen, I'll click the new button right here under models, and that will display the new project dialog. Now, what you'll see next is a template file area here and a drop-down list. Now, what you see on your list might vary from what I have on mine. It depends on the version of Revit you have and the options that were installed at the time of installation. So I'm just showing you the default options here as they exist on my installation. From this list, I'm going to start with the architectural template, which is a really basic template file, and then I'll click OK to create that new project. So let me just point out a few features of this really basic architectural template. Now, the first thing you'll notice is in the middle of the screen, we have these 4 square icons here. These are the elevation symbols. So each one of those corresponds to a view over here on the project browser, east, north, south, and west. Now, directly above that in the browser, we also have a couple floor plans and a few ceiling plans. Now, if I scroll down on the browser, the Legends branch is empty, as is schedules and sheets. So you'll see that there's not that many views to start with in this project. Most of the view creation would fall on us to do if we use this template. Now, another thing that I want to point out to you is the content that's available in this template. So when you start a new project, you're going to begin creating objects. And one of the things that we can see is which objects are available for us to place right as we get started. So if we go to the Architecture tab, there's a component button right here, and I'll click that. And then on the Properties palette, there's a drop down at the top. This is called the Type Selector. And if I open up that Type Selector, you're going to see the items that are preloaded into this template file. I've got some really simple stuff here. There's a desk, there's a parking space, there's a tree, but there's really not that many items as you scroll through the list here. It's a very short list of items that are available. So there are many things that you might want to add to your project which are not available, and that means you would have to load those items in. Now I'm going to click this Modify tool here to cancel that command. And what I'd like to do is contrast this to another template that we also have available in the default installation that's a little bit more robust. It has a few more items installed in it to start with. So this time, because I'm already in a project, I'm going to use the File menu to get to that New command. So if we go to the File menu and hover over New, and then slide over here to Project, that will display that same New Project dialog again. Now, the template I want to show you is not on my drop-down list here. So what we can do instead is use the Browse button here and go locate it. So when I click Browse, this will take me to my default template location in my installation of Revit. And again, what you see in your list might vary slightly from what I see. But the file that I want to use is this commercial default template right here. Now, if you don't have this file, I've provided it with the exercise files. If you're using Revit LT, the name of the commercial default file varies slightly, as does the contents of the default template folder. So once you've chosen that file, click Open and then OK to create that new project. Now that'll create a second tab, and it says Level 1 here, but notice that if I hover over that, it says Project 2 Level 1, which is different than this original one, Project 1 Level 1. So this was our first project that we created from the default architectural template, and I'm going to use this little X right here and close that. Now, since I've never saved that project, it will ask me if I want to save the changes. I don't want to preserve that original architectural template, so for this one, I'm going to click No. So that leaves me with just the one Level 1 for our current Project 2. Now let's look at the project browser again, keeping in mind how it's differing from the first one that we started with. So look at the Floor Plans branch. Notice how there are several additional floor plans that weren't available in the previous template. The Ceiling Plans only has one ceiling plan this time. It's got the same 4 elevations, but if you scroll down, notice that we now have some items under Quantities and Schedules. A little bit further down, we have several sheets. Now, a sheet is a special view that contains a title block. So I'm going to open up this A2 sheet here, and you'll see that it's got a title block right here, and then in the middle, there's a viewport, And that viewport actually is a view to this level 1 ceiling plan right here. So when you want to create a set of documents, you can create sheets with these title blocks and then place the views on those sheets. Now imagine if you took this generic title block here and substituted that with your Office standard title block. And think about the kinds of things that you could put in a template file that would allow you to start a new project without having to do all that configuration manually. Now let's look at one more thing. I'm going to click back over here to the Level 1 tab again, which is still open in the background, and go back to that component button. Now, earlier we looked at the list of components that were available in the architectural template. Compare that now to the list of items that's available here in this commercial one. There's now a toilet, there's a sink, there's still the tree and the desk and the parking space, but there are several other items like light fixtures and chairs and several other items that you might find useful. So a template file can contain lots of settings that you use to preset a file and have it adhere to Office standards right from the very beginning. So the only thing that remains for us to do with this file now is to simply save it and give it a name. So if I go to the File menu here and choose Save, I'll put it on my desktop and type in a name for it, and then click Save. So when you want to create a new project in Revit, the most important first step is choosing a good template file to get started with. This will give you a leg up because all of the preset information that's stored in that template file will get carried over to your new project.